Yo, what's good? Welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who I am, my name's Michael J. I build six-figure businesses, I build seven-figure businesses, and it is my purpose in life to show the world how to do the same. So you can quit that 9-to-5 job that you hate and you can start building a life that you really want to lead. And today's video is going to be a really special one for me and hopefully for you, because I'm going to walk through how I built my very first £1 million company from scratch. And the reason why I think it's super important is because I learned a lot of lessons the hard way, and in this video I'm going to talk you through the things that I think you need to know before you think about going into business and building your own very first seven-figure company. So the company that I'm talking about is a furniture manufacturing company, and it was a high-end made-to-order company, and I grew it from literally zero all the way up to 7 figures. We started with 3 members of staff, and within 3 years, we built it up to 22 members of staff. So you can see very quickly how much we grew and the problems that can come with it. So just to explain what 7 figures means, because a lot of people don't really kind of know that term unless they've been in business for a little while. So a 7-figure company basically means that you're hitting £1 million in revenue, not profit, within 1 year. Profit is a little bit different to that, and I can touch upon that on another video, but right now let's just say that we were working on 25% net profit each year. So to put that into perspective a little bit more, that's £250,000 in profit per year, which equates to approximately £20,000 profit per month. And the reason why this is really special to me is that this was my very first business, so I had very little experience in the game, and I managed to achieve something that not many people achieve at all in their entire lifetime. So very, very proud of that one. And I was literally learning as I went. I didn't have a business mentor. Around that time, I weren't really watching things on YouTube and following any influencers, and there was no handbook to look in to see what I needed to do next. So I learned the hard way, but that sometimes is the best way. And because I've learned all them lessons and been through the baptism of fire, I can now share those lessons with you so you don't make those same mistakes and you can build bigger, better companies than I did. So how did I get going and build a 7-figure company from scratch? So the first thing was that I just jumped in with very little planning or overthinking. And this is where a lot of people get stuck in all areas of life. People want things to be perfect. They want things to be as least risky as possible. So they start looking at all the minute details of things, which slows people down, which then creates hesitation, and then people just don't end up pulling the trigger. And that's something that I just didn't do. I took a look at the details, put a very high plan together, looked at all the risks, and I just thought, do you know what? I'm just gonna go head first and get cracking. And that is what I would advise you to do as well. Do a little planning, but don't overdo it. Just get stuck in and you'll progress quicker and better than you would ever imagine. The next thing I'm gonna talk about is really, really vital for any business out there, and that is to create a solid brand that matches what you want to deliver as products and fulfills the demands of your target audience. So this is where people get really lazy. They don't want to delve deep and get into the nitty-gritty of what your customers really want. And by doing that, you're not setting the stage for what your brand's going to offer and deliver, which can cause confusion to clients. Say for instance, you've got a really high-end product, but you're selling it at a really cheap rate. That might get you some initial sales, but really it's just going to confuse your target market. And at the same time, if you're charging a really high-end price, but you're not using quality materials, which means that your customers are not going to be fully happy with it, you're going to get complaints, it's just going to ruin your brand. So again, it's just causing that confusion again, and I've seen a lot of businesses fail because of it. And as soon as I got going with this business, I knew what I wanted. So it's a high-end, made to order, bespoke service. So Do you think people that are on national minimum wage are going to be able to afford these kind of products at £1,000 to £3,000? Probably not. So our target market was high-end clients that were earning 50, 60, 70k and above. So we needed to create what they call a straw man in marketing terms, or an avatar, which basically describes your customer down to a T. What are the age, ethnicity, the sex, where do they live, what jobs do they have, how much money do they earn, where do they buy, what kind of things do they buy. All of those things together will help you build your avatar, which then gives you a really good platform to start building your products and your pricing structure around. Then you need to create your brand or your logo around that target market and your product set and pricing point. So you don't want a really cheap looking brand. You want a very high-end looking brand if your products are going to be high-end. So we wanted our lettering to be really high-end and really quality, but we want it also to have like a rustic feel to it, traditional feel. So it gave people that confidence that we were creating something really solid, traditional and high-end. So once I had that high-end brand designed, I then created all of my online social platforms and the website in line with that brand. So we needed to make sure the colors were right, we needed to make sure that the fonts were correct, and any kind of photography, imagery or videography and all of the written content that we put online needed to hit that high-end level. And once we did do that over time, people were constantly commenting on how good the brand is and how high-end it feels, and all the content, it just feels very aligned and very enticing and very persuasive. And people just said, as soon as I saw this video, this picture, this post, this blog, whatever it was, they said they knew they wanted to buy from us. So keep that in mind, guarantee game changer. So once I got the brand designed and I was stuck in and we're getting going, the next thing that I wanted to get absolutely right, and which I recommend that you would look at very carefully, are the business processes, which a lot of businesses that I speak to now, because I'm a business coach and a business consultant, is that people don't look at the business processes in general, which can be a business killer, especially when you've got a company with multiple departments or multiple areas that are delivering particular parts of the process to deliver the end result. And obviously for my furniture company, we had around 6 to 7 processes, separate processes that all linked together, that all needed to work together in harmony. So just to describe the processes and the different areas within the furniture company, the first one was building. So the carpenters needed to build a frame of furniture. Once that had been built, it then go on to the next stage, which was filling and sanding, which is basically a production operative role. So once they got this frame, they needed to fill all the cracks in to make sure that it was nice and smooth, and then they needed to sand those areas. So once you got this frame, it was nice and smooth and it looked high quality and it looked like a finished piece, not with nails sticking out or screws and things like that. Then it went through a process called undercoating, which we had a team of sprayers. So they would coat it with 1 to 2 coats of paint to give it that undercoat before the final coat. So once it's received its undercoat, it would then go back through the production operative phase, where the team would fill any more last little bit and give it one nice fine sand, so it a really nice smooth finish before it goes into its final stage, which is the final layer of paint. And then once that's complete, it would then go for drying. Obviously, we needed to make sure it would dry, and then it would go for fitting. So basically what happened in fitting was that the team would fit drawers, they would fit the doors, which obviously needed hinges, and any little thing that needed to finish the piece before it was ready to be wrapped. But before it went into the wrapping phase, we would need images to send to the customer. So we would put either the stone top or the oak top on top of a piece of furniture, put it in front of a pre-made area that we would like to take pictures on to send to the customer, like whether it were a bathroom area or whether it were a kitchen area, and we would take pictures and store them on an online system. From there, we would then send the customer the images for final approval, and then it would go into its final stage, which was to wrap. So obviously we wanted the furniture to get to the customer undamaged and with no hits or damages or scratches or dents. So we made sure we wrapped our stuff up very, very well. We spent quite a lot of money on that. Again, just all falling into that high-end brand that we were delivering to customers. Then once it had been fully wrapped, we would then store it in a particular area where we stored all our finished furniture. And then the final phase is the delivery phase, where the furniture will be collected by a delivery team and delivered to the customer. And a process that underpins all of that is the customer service team and the processes of dealing with customers and their requests and any questions that they've got. So you can quickly see with all of those processes how difficult it would be to ensure that things were efficient, that all of the different areas worked together well, and that we got an end result that was high quality that the customers would like. So it's very important that you note down, actually write down what the processes are for each of those areas, what the inputs are, what the outputs are, and any materials and supplies that you needed to deliver each of those inputs and outputs for each area. And I know that might sound overwhelming, but when you write it down, it will become a lot more clearer and simpler for you to understand how everything sits together. And then once you've got it documented, you can then share that with your team members, which again will reduce confusion and will make everything work like clockwork. The next vital thing that I want you to learn is the fact that you need a winning team. And to build a good winning team is very difficult. It sounds easy, but trust me, for someone that's been there and done it, it is not easy at all. So I'm going to talk through the things that you need to be looking out for while doing this. So the first thing you need to do is get in contact with specialist recruitment companies. Not just any recruitment company, but specialist ones, especially if you've got a special area. Like for us, we had carpenters, we had sprayers, we had very, very specialist areas that we needed to recruit for. So we built relationships with very specialist recruitment companies, which paid dividends in the end. After a few years, they were able to get hold of very specialist resources very quickly for us. And that in business is very important. Then once you've got your team in place, it's very important that you stay in regular communication with all of your team members. Don't overlook this. Trust me on that one. That's something I did early on and I regretted it. And as time went on, I learned not to do that. And I started building very good relationships with all my team because I stayed in contact with them and I let them know that I was there and I was in the trenches with them. You need to make sure that you're setting up regular meetings with them to make sure they're happy. If there's anything that they think that we can be doing better, there's anything they think we need changing, just for general feedback really, and to make sure that your staff are happy, because your happy staff are the make or break of your company. Take it from someone that's learned lessons very, very hard in that area. The next thing I'm going to talk about is something that a lot of people struggle with when they've not been in business before, and that's getting into debt or taking leverage to help you grow your company. And if you're going into business and you want to grow your company, you are going to need to get into debt. But debt is not a bad thing when you're getting it to grow an asset. A lot of people link debt to bad things because they're used to getting into bad debt, whether that's with a car, which is just depreciating, whether that's a holiday, which just disappears. Any debt usually is related to something bad, but in this case, for a business and to grow an asset, it is a good thing. And if you've got faith and you're fully committed to your company and growing your business, taking leverage is just a no-brainer. And just some advice on that is that when you are taking leverage, try get as much as you possibly can and try make the payments as small and over as long a period of time as possible. That means that you're managing your risk and you've got as much capital there to minimize your risk and to grow your company as much as possible, because Even if it's just for cash flow, for example, cash flow can be a big killer of companies. And the more money that you've got in your bank to play with for liquidity, the less risky things are for you and the more chances you've got to grow your company. And just a final thought on that is that the more you grow, the bigger loans that you're going to get. And you're not just going to get one loan. I mean, you might be lucky, but for this furniture company, we initially got a loan of 20 grand, which might seem a lot to some of you, but remember, this was a 7-figure company. So 20 grand wasn't that much, although at the time it did seem quite a lot, to be honest. But then after a year or a year and a half, we got a loan of 50k. And then after another, let's say year and a half-ish, we got a £125,000 loan to, again, get liquidity and cash flow in the bank account. It was to buy new machinery. It was to grow the brand, to spend money on advertising. It was to get more staff. It was to test new things, to get new products in. So it was all worthwhile stuff to build our asset, which is our business, and it paid us dividends. So I know that was probably a lot to take in and it might feel overwhelming, but I was a beginner before I got into business. So if you're a beginner, just take a look at me. I've been there and I've done it, and I've created a 7-figure company, and you can do the same. So just take it step by step. Don't get overwhelmed by trying to do everything at once and try delving into these areas that I've mentioned in this video all at once. Just take each piece step by step, one by one, and I can guarantee you, you can build a 7-figure company just like I did. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, which I'm probably thinking that you are going to be, like I was as well, get in touch. I'm a business coach, I'm a business consultant. You can book one-to-one time with me and I can look at your personal situation. I can help you work through it and help you build that business. And you can do it with someone that's been there and done it. So that's it from me today, guys. I hope you took lots of value from that. And as always, if you've liked the video, please like the video. Please subscribe. Help me grow so I can help as many people as possible leave that shitty 9-to-5 job that they hate. Until next time,